Good evening. I call this meeting of the Bastrop Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been duly called and that a notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This time, if you'll please stand for the pledges and a word of prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. All right. If you please remain standing for our prayer. We have Pastor Austin Roots. Come on down. So with us tonight, we have a student pastor, Austin Roots from River Valley Christian Fellowship Church. We'll offer our opening prayer for this evening. Welcome.
Absolutely. Hey, glad to be here. Bow your heads with me as we pray. Father God, we come before you tonight just humbled by the opportunity it is to lead and serve all of the students of Bastrop County, Lord, and Bastrop ISD. God, I thank you for the board members that are here tonight. God, I pray that you bless this night, bless this time that they have and the decisions that they have to make the tasks that are at hand, Lord. I pray that you keep your hand over them, Lord, that you help them know that you are sovereign, you are in control over everything, Lord, and the decisions that they make would ultimately reflect and glorify you in all that they do, Lord. We pray over the students of Bastrop ISD. God, we thank you that we get to love on them, that we get to serve them, we get to teach them and watch them grow, hopefully, Lord, into students who fear and who know you, God. Lord, I pray over the rest of their school year, the rest of the semester, that they finish the race strong, that they study hard, that they work hard, build relationships with one another, that they would turn into students who impact this community in positive ways, that they impact this community for your gospel, Lord, for the truth of your word. And thank you so much for them, and I pray over their families as well, that they would fear you. Lord, that they would raise students who come to know you, Lord, who would seek to work diligently, work hard, God, ultimately for the better workings of this town, of this city, Lord. But ultimately, God, has said before that it would be for your honor and your glory that all of these students come to worship you, God. We thank you so much for tonight. We pray that you keep your hand over this meeting, over all the board members, all the decisions to be made. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Roots.
Absolutely.
All right, moving along to our student speaker. Dr. Lee, would you please introduce our Character of Education trait for February, which is justice. Our student speaker, please.
Absolutely. Rory? Rory Favor is a 5th grade student at Mena Elementary School, and he enjoys math. I did too, Rory, until I hit geometry. But you stick with it. He's an active member of the Lego Club and the Pokemon Club, and he also participates in Safety Patrol and PE Posse. You're very busy over there at Mena. Well, why don't you tell us what you have some remarks for us on justice tonight?
Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Justice consists not in being neutral between right and wrong, but finding out the right and upholding it, wherever found, against the wrong." What is justice? Justice is not a law, but a personal choice in how others are treated. It is the moral commitment to fairness, equity, and the protection of rights for all individuals, regardless of their background. What do you think justice looks like? Justice is standing up for somebody who is being treated unfairly, even when you're the only one. Telling the truth and including everybody. Justice is also doing what is right and not picking sides depending on who is on that side. Why is justice important? Justice helps build relationships and nice, helpful communities. Justice also builds trust and reduces conflicts. A world without justice would be a world where the strong take whatever they want or need, where the weak are left with nothing. Everyone plays a part in showing justice towards others. I challenge you to treat others with fairness, honesty, and kindness every day.
Hold on, don't run off yet. Hold on just a second, don't run off yet. Dr. Lee? Great
Roy,
job.
who did you bring with you tonight?
My mom.
Your mom? You want to have mom stand up and you can introduce her?
This is my mom.
Thank you, Mom. And Rory, we have a gift for you for coming and speaking tonight. Thank you very
job,
much.
thank
Good
you.
job. Can we get to the mics and giving feedback?
All right, moving along to our recognitions and presentations. We have the HEB and Excellent Award, Jennifer Bloom, the counselor at Addleton Elementary. And our presenter this evening will be Raina Ellis, Director of College and Career and Military Readiness.
All right, good evening. Ms. Blum, if you want to come on up, we want you here as I'm speaking about you.
Come right up here, Ms. Blum, front and center.
Front and center.
Face the
Yes,
audience.
ma'am. That's your spot. Yes, right there.
Right up here.
Oh, right here, yeah. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Lee and guest. It is my honor to introduce Ms. Jennifer Blum, school counselor at Addleton Elementary, who has been named a finalist for the HEB Excellence in Education Award, one of the most prestigious honors in Texas public education. Each year, this award recognizes educators who go above and beyond in shaping the future through exceptional service, dedication, and leadership. Ms. Blum exemplifies what it means to serve students with compassion, heart, and purpose. She is a fierce advocate for students and families, helping children find their confidence, supporting families through challenging times, and fostering a campus culture where every student feels seen, valued, safe, and empowered to succeed. Please join me in congratulating Jennifer Blum, HEB Excellence in Education Award finalist, and in thanking her for the meaningful difference she continues to make in the lives of our students and our families. Congratulations, Ms. Blum. And I think she brought her family here tonight as well. You want to introduce your family?
Hi, Ollie.
All right.
Thank you so
I have to give all the
much.
credit to my husband, who encouraged me to get my master's and supports me every step of the way, and my three gorgeous children for reminding me why my work is so important. So thank you so much. I still can't believe it. Like it's just, oh my gosh. So I hope I make you guys proud, and I have a really good feeling like we're in it to win it. Right on. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, moving along to our open forum. The board welcomes comments from district citizens and employees and individuals or group representatives who may have signed up to speak, focusing on public education topics. Please note the board cannot discuss or act upon any issue not listed on the agenda, and we ask that the audience be respectful of the other speakers and presenters. The board will not allow the use of any derogatory comments towards any individual staff member, teachers, or board members. The purpose of this open forum is to gather input only. Agenda-related issues will be addressed at the appropriate time. Speakers will be heard in order of their request. Open forum is limited to 30 minutes. We have 7 speakers, so we have allotted 3 minutes apiece. And so we'll start with our first speaker here, and that will be Maggie Gordon. Come on up. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Maggie Gordon, and I'm a 9th grade student at Circa in the BISD district. I'm here today speaking to urge the school board to vote against the prayer in school and Bible reading policy. I believe Senate Bill 11 will lead to bullying and exclusion for children who do not want to participate because they are not religious or they practice other religions. This could become a big problem across school districts as children can be ostracized because of their religious beliefs or lack thereof for not participating in the school-sanctioned prayer time. This bill could also create division between staff and students because under this bill, staff are allowed to encourage children to participate in prayer, and this may make some students very uncomfortable. This bill is also a violation of the First Amendment, and it violates the separation of church and state, and therefore should not be adopted by our school district. Schools should be a place where everyone is accepted and no one is judged for their religious beliefs, and I believe it should stay that way. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker will be Rodrigo Ontiveros.
Hello, my name is Rodrigo, and I am a student in Bastrop ISD. I am speaking to y'all today because I wanted to urge y'all to vote against adopting the Senate Bill 11 into y'all's next vote. This issue matters to me because I believe this policy could create division among students. Our schools include people from many different backgrounds and beliefs, and even if participation is voluntary, setting aside school time for religious activity may cause some students to feel excluded or isolated because of their faith or lack of one. Schools should be a place where everyone feels equally comfortable and respected. My situation is somewhat unique. I attend Circa, a smaller and more academically competitive environment where instructional time and focus are especially valuable. Speaking honestly, adding a structured prayer period risks becoming a distraction that takes away from learning and academic engagement from my peers and I. Students already have the right to pray individually if they chose. Because of that, I do not believe creating a formal school-organized prayer period adds meaningful benefit. It may also place additional strain on our faculty and administrators, who will need to adjust schedules, manage consent, and interpret unclear implementation details. The practical implementations of this policy remain uncertain, and introducing that ambiguity into school could create unnecessary challenges, not to mention that policies like this raise serious concerns about First Amendment protections, since public schools must remain neutral toward religion to ensure students' freedom of belief and is not pressured or influenced. Taking everything into consideration, this policy risks creating social division among students, distracting from academic focus, placing strain on faculty, introducing practical uncertainty, and raising constitutional concerns without providing any clear educational benefit. I respect that people hold different beliefs than myself, but I ask the board to consider whether adopting this policy truly supports inclusion and education focus for all students. Thank you for your time and service to our district.
Our next speaker will be Martin Camaraderie. Welcome.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, and thank you for the opportunity to address my concerns over opting in for the daily period of prayer and Bible study provided for in SB 11. My name is Martin Conradi, and I know that each of you know me in my official capacity as an educator for BISD. I am also a member of Calvary Episcopal Church, a former vestry member, a current usher, and oblationer for Calvary. My family and I attend church almost every Sunday, and our daughter, Isabella, has been raised in the Episcopal faith. My argument against opting in for the daily period of prayer and Bible study is threefold. First, and most importantly, my wife and I are in charge of the religious upbringing of our daughter, not BISD nor the state of Texas, and I would ask that you honor this. Secondly, opting in for SB 11 period of prayer will create another fraught situation of potential tension and divisiveness for our schools. In Bastrop, the period of prayer and Bible study will follow mainline Christian interpretations, and being sectarian will exclude other faiths. The exclusion of other religious or non-religious belief systems will lead to conflict in a high school. As a public school administrator, my time could be consumed with mitigating religious conflicts associated with the prayer and Bible study period. Finally, SB 11, by creating a district and state-sanctioned period for prayer and Bible study, is a clear violation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, and thus illegal. The Honorable Justice Robert Jackson, a former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court and Chief Prosecutor of the Nazis at the Nuremberg war crimes trials following World War II, noted in the majority opinion of West Virginia Board of Education versus Barnett, 1943, this is what Robert Jackson had to say: if there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation. It is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, or other matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or act their faith therein. Thank you, Board.
Our next speaker is Isabella Melania Camaraderie. Welcome.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Isabella Conradi, and I'm a junior at Colorado River Collegiate Academy and a member of Calvary Episcopal Church, where I acolyte and practice my faith. I'm here to speak to you about Senate Bill 11 and the impact it will have on our schools. My main concern is simple. The school's priority should be education. Our classrooms are meant for learning math, science, reading, history, and skills that prepare us for college, careers, and life. By implementing this bill, teachers will face limited instructional time and growing academic expectations. At Circa, we have a block schedule, so we already only see our high school teachers 3 times a week, and the other 2 days we're at ACC at Elgin. So with this, every minute we have with our Circa teachers is extremely important. Adding a structured prayer time during the school day shifts focus away from the core mission of putting education first. Every minute in the classroom matters, and students deserve an environment centered around academic success. Second, not all students practice the same religion or any religion at all. Our school district serves students from many different backgrounds, beliefs, and cultures. Even if participation is technically voluntary, creating a school-sponsored prayer time can make some students feel excluded, pressured, or different. School should be a place where every student feels equally respected and included, regardless of personal beliefs. Finally, our schools already provide opportunities for students who want religious involvement. We have clubs like Bible Club and Fellowship of Christian Athletes. These groups allow students to freely choose to participate without placing religion into the structure of the school day itself. That system already protects both religious freedom and student choice. I respectfully ask that you keep our schools focused on education and take into consideration the best curriculum for all students a part of BISD. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Bailey Calderon.
All right, good evening. My name is Bailey Calderon, and I'm a student at Colorado River Collegiate Academy. I'm a junior, and I'm here tonight to respectfully urge you to vote against Senate Bill 11. I want to start with something personal. I am a woman of the Catholic faith. My faith matters to me dearly. I believe in prayer, I believe in God, and I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. But I also believe deeply that public school is not the place for government to create structured religious period as a part of the school day. SB 11 may not force every student to participate, but it does require districts to vote on a policy that would create a, quote, daily period of prayer and reading of the Bible or other religious texts, end quote, and that is from the bill. And I need you to understand how that feels as a student. Because even if participation is technically optional, the moment a school schedules a daily religious period, it sends a message about what is normal and what students are expected to do. It creates social pressure, it creates division, and it risks making students who don't share that religion feel like outsiders in the place that they are required to be legally every single day, and that inherently is unjust. Especially at Circa, where our time, as previously mentioned, is already limited. We have a block schedule, and we only see our high school teachers 3 times a week, so all time is critical. We cannot afford to lose focus. Our main task in school should be education, not politics, not religion, just education. And honestly, I find it completely troubling that this bill requires parents to sign a consent form that includes a waiver of their rights to bring legal claims. And that alone should tell you guys that this policy is not as harmless as it sounds. Students already have the right to pray silently and voluntarily at school, and that already exists. So this bill isn't about protecting religion, it's about inserting religion into the structure of public school. Even Scripture reminds us that faith is personal and not performative. Matthew 6:6 says, "When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray in secret." This means that prayer should be sincere and private between you and God, not a public performance, and definitely not a class in a public school. I believe every student should be free to practice their religion 100% on their own time. But school is for school, and our district should not adopt a policy that risks harming students, distracting from academics, and dividing our community. Public schools should never require families to sign away their rights just to participate in something that is supposed to be voluntary. A policy that makes some students feel welcome and others feel tolerated is not unity, it is injustice. So I am pleased asking you today, and I am urging you respectfully to vote no against SB 11. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Carol Spencer.
Thank you. I just want to say I think it's unfair that you called me up after these amazing students. I think that's really unfair. As you know, my name's Carol Spencer, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to be heard tonight. On Saturday, January 31st, I emailed the elected representatives sitting on the Bastrop ISD Board of Trustees. I did not include Dr. Lee in that email, but not one elected board member responded to my email. Someone obviously forwarded my email to Dr. Lee, and I do thank her for her very prompt response. But having served as an elected official myself, I just want to note how disappointed I am that I did not hear from one of you. And I know some of you well enough that I should have heard something. Everywhere people are posting that students have the right to protest as they did here. But from what I've read, the Fifth Circuit and SCOTUS have opined that, quote, conduct by the student which materially disrupts classwork or involves substantial disorder or invasion of the rights of others is, of course, not immunized by the constitutional guarantee of freedom of speech, unquote. Students leaving classrooms is disruptive. It's invasive to the rights of others. Class isn't a one-way street with a teacher having a megaphone. Class involves interaction, and that is lost not only for those who protested, but for those who remain behind. And last, taxpayers pay a lot of money for schools and student safety. Yet students walked off campus with the district denying responsibility for them once they did. What would you have done had there been a mass shooter when those students were off campus property? Students have a policy manual with rules. Attend all classes regularly and on time. Respect the rights and privileges of students, teachers, and other district staff and volunteers. Obey all campus and classroom rules. Not leave school grounds or school-sponsored events without permission. Not use profanity or vulgar language or make obscene gestures. Protesters violated these and other rules from your own policy manual. Without severe repercussions, students have learned the lesson that they can just walk out, having little to no repercussions for having done so. What was the penalty? An unexcused absence? Is that just a checkbox on their record? That doesn't teach them anything. I urge this board to strengthen its policies to enact severe consequences for behavior that clearly violates Tinker and is disruptive to the educational environment in BISD. I urge you to also think twice about your accountability should something happen during these off-campus disruptive protests. I would never want to be in your shoes should something happen, because I've been in the shoes of an elected official when a police officer was involved in a shooting and someone died. You don't want to be in that position, so I urge you to rethink allowing the students to leave. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker will be Ellen, is it Tanner? Tanner.
Apologies if this,
There.
yes, I have terrible handwriting. Apologies if this is seeming redundant, but I'm speaking to you as a parent. I'm Ellen Tanner, the parent of a 9th grader at Circa, and my husband and I have been members of this community for 16 years. I am writing to urge our school board to vote against the adoption of the school prayer Bible reading policy and to preserve our public schools as a space where students from all backgrounds can feel welcome and respected by the adults who preside over their hours there, regardless of their religion, culture, or political affiliation. Since moving to Bastrop, I have forged friendships and connections with a great variety of people in this town, some of whom are very like-minded and many of whom are across the ideological divide. Despite these differences, there has always been civility and mutual respect, which I firmly believe forms the backbone of any strong community. I have been able to maintain those connections and friendships because of that mutual respect, and because neither party has tried to impose their worldview or religious beliefs on the other. SB 11 appears to be an attempt to solve a non-existent prayer rights problem. Seeing Christianity embraced and reflected in this community is not an issue for Christians living in Bastrop, Texas. Not only do student-led groups exist that celebrate and engage in Christianity and prayer, but there are many Christian churches that exist within walking distance of all our public schools, which offer services Sunday mornings and have programming throughout the week to support any student who wishes to engage more. So then what is this school bill being introduced for? This school bill is not meant to enhance student life or support BISD students. These dogmatic tactics of advancing one particular worldview will only serve to weaken our community and further alienate those who already feel pushed to the fringes. If you are someone who supports this bill, I would like to respectfully ask you to please stop trying to silence any and all perspectives that differ from yours. That is the opposite of being a respectful and helpful community member. I strongly believe the Texas State Legislature and school districts have no business dictating to families whether, when, or how to pray and read scripture. This matter should absolutely be left to parents, students, and faith communities. Thank you so much for your time and for all your hard work on behalf of the students.
Thank you. Students of BISD and faculty and citizens of the community, thank you for your comments. We really appreciate, especially the students, your courage, your passion, and I heard it from everybody here tonight, your concern about others. And so that means a lot for us to be able to hear that. So thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate it. Moving along to item H is Mission Movement, the Power of PTA Partnership. Our presenter here tonight is Leslie Ringstaff, a principal of LPE, and Veridela Cruz, president of LPE PTA. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Lee and members of the board. This is Vidi Dela Cruz. She is our new PTA president at Lost Pines, and I was asked by Dr. Lee to spotlight our PTA and how it's grown over the past 5 years or so with her at the helm. So that is what we're going to do. Use this. All right, so just the power of PTA partnerships with a campus and how meaningful they are for us, for sure. The history of our PTA, just 4 short years ago, we had 71 members, down to today where we have 235 members. And needless to say, we have a very driven
Number one.
board, likes to be number one. We are currently number one in the district for largest PTA that supports our campus. We're very proud of that. What cultivated that growth, we're not going to read these slides to you, but just a couple of the larger pieces. What we noticed, clearly our culture, we wanted to support them, and we felt that parents were not feeling as welcomed if we didn't have quite a few members of our board who were able to speak Spanish with them, speak their home language. And so we made it a challenge to make sure that we had numerous board members that were able to connect and communicate with those parents, which has definitely brought in lots of new to our family. They are on campus all the time, so they are a presence. I often tell her I feel like she should be on the payroll somewhere because she's there often just as much as staff members. Being there at lunch, talking to parents, bringing more in, answering questions, spicing up the things that we have coming up in that month. So all of those things have attributed to our growth of the PTA. Obviously, they do a lot for our entire campus, but one of the biggest pieces is for our kiddos. They are our complete sponsorship of our campus field trips. So no child pays for any portion of their field trip. At Lost Pines, the PTA gives all of that money through all the different fundraisers and things that we do to be able for all children to go on those field trips, along with many other things as far as campus and family events. They fund student incentive programs, all the seasonal events you do. They're there for every event with their concession stands. Even for STAR tests, they provide snacks for teachers and for students to be able to have that brain break for that as well.
That's right.
Of course, for teachers and staff, they do just as much. This also includes, they pay for our t-shirts up front, our campus t-shirts every year, pay for those up front. And in repay, we join their PTA of the entire staff. We're always 100% staff participation for them there. For any teacher, for any educator, what speaks to our heart? Food. They do an abundance of that through all kinds of different ways, as you see listed here. And then they also grant funds to teachers. They fill out a simple form requesting what they need in their classroom. They turn it in to me, I approve it, it goes to the PTA board, they approve it, and they fund whatever that teacher is asking for or needing. I haven't heard of one turned down.
Nope.
They have not turned anyone down for that. So just as much for our staff and teachers as they do for our kiddos. And then how they benefit our community, it's been huge. Needless to say, 235 members of our LPE family want to be a part of this. They then put on, please say that word.
Pulguitas.
Pulguitas.
Yes.
I was going to have it and then I lost it. They put that on for our community. So our community can come to our campus grounds and set up and host their own type of things, helping themselves, but also raising awareness for our community there. They also, when they benefit us by bringing us food and stuff, they're also benefiting our local small businesses who then we showcase as the sponsors of each different event. Anything else there?
I just want to add that we're currently the only school with the Golden Apple Award.
Yeah, we're getting to that.
Yep.
We are very proud of all the awards that our PTA has been recognized with just this school year. The Golden Apple Award, we received that last year and this year, where your entire staff joins the campus PTA. And then among all of these awards, and they are going for more. She gave me a huge list that we are going to get by the end of the year.
We have a very, very competitive team, but we want 6 more awards. Yes. Yeah.
So between her and the president that reigned before her, Miss Lily Jaimez, they have just transformed our PTA, transformed our school community with all of our parent engagement, and we are just forever grateful. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Oh, here they are. Look at all the fun things they do.
I think this is just very exciting because I do see emails coming from various elementaries asking for volunteers. And so I'm not sure I've ever gotten one from Lost Pines and mentored out there for 4+ years in the past. And
Dr. Mix is a mentor for us right now.
yeah,
Yes, he is.
awesome. And so this is really exciting. It sounds like y'all got a great playbook that others can use and try to increase.
We're welcome to share our
membership,
ideas, right?
yeah.
You'll share ideas.
I will.
Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you. All right, moving along to our public hearing. We have a public hearing on the district's annual report, including the Texas Academic Performance Report, TAPR. Our presenter is Jennifer Eberly, our Chief Academic Officer. Welcome.
Cool. Thank you. Good evening, Board and Dr. Lee. I'm here tonight to present on our district annual report. In this presentation, we'll provide you with an overview of the sections of the 24-25 annual report. Please note that all data included in this report pertains to actually 2 school years, the 23-24 and the 24-25 school years, thus representing historical data which has been shared in previous board meetings over the last several months. Tonight, what I'm going to do is summarize the contents of the report rather than reviewing the entire document, as the full report exceeds more than 800 pages. The complete report will be made available to the public or accessible on the district website at the service center and at each campus at the conclusion of us getting everything together. The data included in this report, like I said already, has been presented at various times over the last year, as well as utilized in our campus improvement plans for the 25-26 school year. Ultimately, even though we're in May of 2026, this puts a giant bow on the 24-25 school year. Yes, that's funny to say, but that is what it is. So our annual report is broken down into 8 sections as seen on the screen. We'll briefly review each of these sections tonight. The first one is the TAPER report, or the Texas Academic Performance Report. This report is made up of 2 main data sources, our PEIMS data as well as our student assessment data. The report provides extensive information on student performance, school and district staff, programs, and student academics. So let me give you a quick snapshot into data that's included in this report. Now, this is not all the data, just a quick snapshot. You'll find STAR performance data broken down by grade level, subject, and student populations, as well as school progress and college and career readiness data. These pieces of data are utilized to calculate all 3 domains of our accountability system. This data has been shared all along the way, including at our August board meeting when we presented our accountability rating for the 24-25 school year. PEIMS, or Public Education Information Management System, is our database where we report data to the state, including staffing, attendance, programs, and student demographics. Data included in this portion of the TAPER report looks at items such as the student profile percentages for the district, which show our percentage of students who are economically disadvantaged, emergent bilingual, receiving special education services, gifted and talented, and at risk. It also includes our attendance data broken down. The next section of our report is the financial audit reports. This is one of the pieces of the annual report that lags a year. So this data is actually from the 23-24 school year. The data included in this portion of the report is directly connected to our financial integrity or FIRST rating. At the November board meeting, Mike White, our Chief Financial Officer, shared with you that the district's 23-24 financial integrity or FIRST rating was superior, the highest rating that we could receive. The next section is our accreditation status. The commissioner releases an accreditation status based on several things: academic accountability ratings, financial accountability ratings, data integrity, and program area deficiencies. Bastrop ISD 2024 status is accredited. The release of the accreditation status is lagging a year this year due to the litigation that was over the accountability ratings. We expect to have the 24-25 status soon, and we expect to remain accredited with that also. Section 4 contains information on the progress of performance objectives and strategies from the 24-25 district and campus improvement plans. Districts and campuses do formative checks throughout the year regarding status of implementation of these plans. This helps us to monitor progress towards goals as we determine if goals need to be continued or modified for the following year. Kendra Monk, our Director of School Improvement and Leadership Development, presents the district and campus improvement plans for approval at every October board meeting. Section 5 is the report on violent or criminal incidences. This report looks at specific discipline codes that are required to report as part of the Texas Education Code, Section 39.306. In Texas, a school is defined as persistently dangerous if the number of discipline offenses related to Title V felonies, possession of weapons, drugs, alcohol, or other serious misbehavior exceeds 1% of discipline incidences that have occurred within the past 3 years. The incident rates for these offenses in Bastrop ISD over the past 3 years is a fraction, 0.3 of a fraction, which is well above the threshold for the persistently dangerous, well below the threshold for the persistently dangerous school criteria. Even with our growth in enrollment, we've seen a decrease in these offenses. BISD is considered safe schools. Current prevention measures include, but are not limited to, multi-tiered systems of support, mental health support staff on campuses, bullying prevention curriculum, and age-appropriate violence awareness instruction as recommended by our Student Health Advisory Council, or SHAC. Section 6 of the report looks at student performance in post-secondary institutions. This report is another lagging data report as we are looking at data for students who graduated in 2023. This report tracks students who are in their first year of Texas higher education institutes to see who attended and then what their GPA was at the conclusion of their first year in that institution. Section 7 is progress towards meeting the board-approved House Bill 3 goals. Details on this progress was shared at our November board meeting by Raina Ellis, our Director of College, Career, and Military Readiness, and Dr. Danielle Riddick, our Director of Elementary Education. And last, all 48 pages of it, there's a lot of items included in the TAPER report at the beginning, and there's a lot of information that grounds all of that data. So to help you out, there is a 48-page glossary to help with any information and understanding around the TAPER report. They include it all in there. The full report will be available within the next 2 weeks on our district website, where we actually have all of them for the last several years on there, with a paper copy available at the Service Center and at each campus. For additional questions, you can also contact Rachel Repke, our Director of Accountability and Compliance. That's all I have for this evening. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions from the board first? If there are no questions, this is a public hearing. Are there any questions from the audience? And if you do have a question, we ask that you please come to the podium. All right, if there are no questions, that will conclude our public hearing. Thank you very much, Ms. Eberly. Since we're in our reports, Superintendent Dr. Lee, do you have anything to report or share with us before moving on?
Just briefly, I wanted to give a public thank you to Doc Jackson, the members of the Kerr community, the volunteers from the Lions Club for putting on the Sister Moses Project here at the PAC. That was a great partnership between us and the city of Bastrop, and I think Blue Bonnet Electric and maybe First National Bank. There were several members who all brought this together, and we were fortunate to bring middle school dance and theater kids over to the PAC to watch one of the performances. And in addition, students from Elgin ISD, McDade ISD, and Smithville ISD also attended. So we had a full pack of kids, and you never know what middle school students are going to like and what they're not going to like. But they really loved this performance. There was music, there was dancing, there was storytelling, honoring someone who's a tremendous human being, Harriet Tubman, in our American history. So I just wanted to give a shout out, and specifically to Cynthia Smith, who's the director over at Bastrop Middle School, who actually had some of her students. She prepared them to audition, and they were selected to perform here at the PAC as well. I also want to just tell you about Miss Caitlin Casey, who's a first grade teacher at Adelton Elementary, and Jasmine De La Riva, who's a third grade teacher at Lost Pines. Had the opportunity to participate in a Saturday seminar with them in the program that they're a part of, Texas State University. They're in their early years of teaching, first year of teaching, and these two precious teachers did an amazing job of giving us a great tour of their classroom. They taught us lessons in front of us district representatives and their cohort from Texas State University. And being somebody who has spent 20 years in education, plus more years than that in my business career, it was just so refreshing and inspiring to see these young teachers just demonstrate how much they love the classroom and how much they love their students. We're very blessed to have both of them. And so concluding, I just want to thank our HR department, Ms. Green, I see Wendy Burnett and Mary Torres back there in the back. Our HR department is doing just a tremendous job in trying to recruit high-quality teachers. They're helping our paraprofessionals who don't have degrees, who really want to get their degree and become teachers for us. And then even degreed professionals who work for us that are trying to finish their certification and supporting all of those pathways. You, as the board, you know that we applied to the Texas Education Agency to give us a little bit of an extension to meet the new state mandate that 100% of our teachers become certified, and that was approved thanks to our HR team, and we are going to, we feel confident we're going to meet that objective because we're doing a great job at creating pathways to help people who want to become teachers, and to do it in Bastrop ISD. So that's all I had to share tonight.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lee. You know, it's really great things to hear, even your words and the PTA and talking about the community. I know 12 years ago, I think Dr. Mix was on the board with myself, and we were trying to get some school bonds passed, and our goals, and they still are, at that time, were to bridge the gap between the school and the community. And we still, one of our goals is partnerships with the community. So it's really great to hear all these businesses, even the Chamber of Commerce, getting involved, and so this is really awesome. And we got some bonds passed, buildings, construction underway, and you know, it's really great. Things are moving along, so great to hear these positive things. Moving along to our superintendent's report, we have business services report, budget and property value update from Mike White, our chief financial officer. Mike, welcome.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, if you can believe it, it's time to start talking about the 2026-27 budget and tax rate. So coming to you tonight with our first of several discussions this spring and summer. So I wanted to kind of give you a peek on the things we're looking at, the factors that are going into it. Very different than last year, legislative year. You know, so we're in the middle of that now. But student projections continue to remain, you know, the most important aspect of our funding, and thus the work that we're doing now. You've seen that play out here with our demographer who came in I think it was November, to provide an update. And so we have some information from that, as well as hoping to get some insight in their April report. Also looking forward to property value projections. We get our preliminary estimates from BCAD in April. So looking to see what that looks like. Obviously, you know, home prices have slowed down quite a bit compared to years, a number of years in a row of growth there. Looking at inflationary costs and other areas of growth for us that continue to rise. And then the fully transitioning 6th, 7th, 8th to all 4 of our middle schools. So those are the key areas of discussion right now that we wanted to bring forth to you. Like I said, we had a projection from our demographer in November that had us growing, I think, 80 students at that time. I think what we're expecting to see in April is something that's probably even lower. I mean, we're continuing to see things trending a certain way in terms of growth. We've been on probably had an average of 3.5% growth for 15 years. And for this year, it's very flat. If not some weeks a net loss. So looking at that closely and anticipating what that looks like in April, because that growth number really, at $10,000 per student on average, really plays quite a bit into our projections. As always, we're taking a conservative approach at this point. I think that's in line with the board's philosophy and the administration's historical philosophy as well. So trying to make sure to see what that looks like, a budget without growth, right? Which is has a number of challenges. The unknowns, the elephant in the room obviously is the impact of vouchers that start next year. As of the 15th, I think there had been 100,000 plus applications statewide. So that does start next year, 26-27, the second part of the biennium. So $1 billion allocated last session for that. So, I've been watching that closely. We expected to have some impact, but less than, a number of other communities because of the private options here in Bastrop ISD. And then looking at the reason for the slow growth, I know interest rates have played a profound part in housing slowdown, but then trying to get a handle, and maybe our demographer can provide additional insight in April, but trying to figure out what's going on. Who are we losing kids to? Where are they going? We're not seeing an influx in private and charter enrollment in our community. So is that homeschools? Is that moving out of the community? It's really a little bit of a challenge to figure that out, even for our demographer there. So seeing that play out in the area in a number of our peer districts as well. We talked about the voucher era. I won't circle back through some of the stats that I shared, but in our community, really two primary sites. We have Calvary Episcopal, which is a pre-K through 8th, and then we have another site, Good Shepherd, which has a Little Sheep Learning Center for pre-K, so you could really consider that one school in some ways, and then Nova Academy, which is a little different, smaller option for kids. In our discussions with folks that are involved and with some of the leadership at a couple of those schools, private schools, we're not seeing a huge cause for concern. At this point, honestly, it's looking more like maybe several dozen, 30 kids, 40 kids. Mostly the thing that's working in our favor there, it's just they don't have the capacity. It's not a serious concern. It's a concern anytime we lose any kid, but in terms of the budget, 30 kids, we were projected to grow 480 kids this year. So the loss of that growth and what's going on with the housing market and all that slowdown is impacting us quite a bit more than anticipated, vouchers accepted from our kids for next year. So statewide, I know a number of our peer districts are also, this is so varied depending on what part of the state you're in and what the local options are, but obviously a concern for those trying to set budgets, right? Because, like I said, knowing how many kids you're going to have is the primary driver for funding. So something we're going to be updating you on, probably moving forward with all future budget updates, but once we know more, I think the cutoff is March 17th, so we'll have an idea of at least the demand next month. I don't know if we'll make the board meeting, but you will have an idea of what that looks like. And there is a dictated prioritization with special needs at the top and income levels playing a factor in that. So interesting to see how that works out and which kids benefit from that. Property values, we talked about the release of preliminary values in April, those coming back and being certified by July 25th. We anticipate a slowdown. This doesn't have a significant impact on the M&O budget, but of course our capacity for debt service and paying for the schools in the 21 and 23 bond program. In particular, we want to make sure that that's at least a stable number in line with our previous projections when we went out to the market. So interesting to see what that looks like moving forward. What to watch? Our primary concern with growth, and I think this is probably statewide, probably across the country, is what we're seeing play out in pre-K and kindergarten and first grade numbers. Those early grades are really seeing declining enrollment. There's nationwide trends, lower birth rates. People are waiting, longer to have kids. A number of other factors that I think that our demographer touches upon, but it's playing itself out. And as those lower grade levels, come into our system, that could have future, concerns for our growth level and whatnot and our funding. So projecting our special education population needs, that's an area of growth. And it's probably the fastest subset growing in our district, the kids with needs, varied needs there. So trying to figure out what that looks like and how to address those needs with our limited growth and limited funding. And then one of the things that districts are concerned about is the lack of hold harmless funding that appears to be in the current state summary finance for over 65. So what does that mean? When they had some tax breaks for over 65 last legislative session, there was anticipated M&O funding for that. We were receiving about $3 million a year. So it depends on who you ask and when you ask them, but right now there's some districts across the state, about 300 that were anticipated to get that funding and don't appear to have it with the state values that were released. So we're currently in that number. So we're making a lot of phone calls, asking a lot of questions. Of course, we're not alone there, but working with all the smartest people in public ed and school funding to figure out what the intent was there. We definitely weren't anticipating that loss of funding. The funding was budgeted at the state level, so we're kind of curious what's going on in the comptroller's office and all the mechanisms that go into our current year funding. So continuing to watch that, we'll adapt to whatever comes out of it. But that's probably the number one issue for me at the moment. And then, of course, earlier this month, we had the federal funding package approved. The federal fiscal year is a little different than ours, but you guys probably read about that in the paper. There were some concerns early on in the school year about for a hot minute, title programs were a target, and the possible loss of some of the funding for some of our federal grants. This was after we had adopted a budget. So I'm continuing to watch that currently. Not a reason for concern, but moving forward, that's something we're going to have to continue to watch because the loss of that funding would be detrimental. So that's where we're at. Nope, I'm sorry, one more slide. This is where we're at through the process. I wasn't able to include all the steps through really through September with the adoption of the tax rate just for the sake of the slide, but we're early on. We're having all those internal discussions. We're meeting with principals and directors about their requests, anything we need to know. Of course, looking at student-teacher ratios and leveling across our district. Hopefully come March, April, we start to, we have the early phases of a draft budget, right? So our work continues, and I'll leave it there for now and open it up to any questions you might have.
How many, as far as doing the budget, how many students are you basing the budget on?
We technically don't have a firm draft budget now. We started off with, what we thought would be this year would be about a growth of about 80. But every meeting we have, every week it goes along, it starts to look like, at some point, we have to look at no growth, and the status quo, current enrollment levels. But I'm just speculating. We haven't even really had all those specific discussions. We're still having we're still baking the cake, if you will, talking to all the stakeholders and trying to get a handle on what are our operational needs and our special education needs. Revenue projections are a work in progress because, I'm hoping that in April we have some insight, but, I think little to no growth is probably what we're looking at, which is going to be a marked, deviation from our last, decade and a half. So, yeah. Thank you.
Any other
Wish I had
questions?
better news, but
Yeah, for Mr. White.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
one
Yes, go
quick
ahead.
question. You mentioned the vouchers. I thought homeschool was allowed in the vouchers, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I might have referred to private just because that is most of it. Those that are in a homeschooled or not in a pre-K or private school, I don't know who else that would be, but that's the way they word it on their website. are allowed up to $2,000 per kiddo. So it is allowed currently.
And we would expect to know if someone's choosing to go that route by a certain date, or not necessarily?
Well, that's a really interesting question. I don't know that they feel that they're required to mandate that level of reporting. I would hope that if a kid was leaving our district and going that route and getting a voucher, that's the kind of void of information we're looking at right now. It's not exactly knowing who's going to take it, where they're coming from. I don't know. I don't know that I have a firm answer for you now. Do you?
Dr. Mix, the speculation is that many of the students, of the families who will apply, are already attending private education or are already homeschooled. So, we checked around to the private schools in our area. How many could they potentially take if they were going to take students from us? And, it could be 2-3 dozen. We wouldn't know until, if they didn't tell us, like, oh, by the way, I won't be here next year. We won't know till the first day of school when they don't show up and we have a list of no-shows.
Thank you.
Is there a scenario where they could take a voucher?
Sorry.
Is there a scenario where they could take a voucher and then still enroll in public school? Is there a scenario that speaks to that? No. Okay.
No, I don't know all the mechanisms of control that they're going to implement there, but I imagine these parents will have some sort of level of accountability. That level of detail I haven't seen released yet, but I think there are going to be controls, or else folks would take advantage possibly, or be front-loaded funding and then be accountable for it. But good questions.
And you mentioned the vouchers have a priority.
Yes, sir.
As to who would get a voucher first.
Yes.
The special education at the top. Is that the way I understood it?
Yeah, there's 5 tiers. I'll try to give you the 30 to 60 second overview. It's those with an IEP, right? Special needs kids that are under the 500% poverty level. That's about $165,000, right? Tier 2 is students under 200% of the poverty level. That's about $66,000. 2 to 500%, so that's between 66 and 165,000, and then everybody else at or above $165,000. That's, by the way, that's a family of 4. It really depends on your family size, that number for you.
Well, I think one of the points I wanted to get to, though, is that the options as far as the private schools locally, if there's an IEP, they're usually coming to the district already to serve that, aren't they?
I would think so. I mean, I don't know that private schools are known for the...
I mean, there are some private schools that do specialize. We just
I've had those
based locally, right?
Right, I'm familiar with those as well in Dallas, but most of the time they are. We can better serve the kid, and they don't have that challenge to serve all those kids. So it really, that prioritization really comes down to how much money's left over after they meet all the needs, and there's additional details on the website which go into it, but that's what we're looking at now.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Mr. White, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving along, our communications as well as our curriculum instruction, facility and support services, and human resource are all for report only and information only, which moves us into item F, which is our police and safety and security report, state mandated Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 2.132B, a racial profiling report. We have Chief Scott Bunch. Welcome.
Board, Dr. Lee, thank y'all. First, I'd like to also thank y'all for your articulation as you spoke. It was very impressive. Also, thank you for staying. You had no idea that you were going to get the TAPER report, the budget report, and our racial profile. And so the things you can do on a Tuesday night, you're going to cross it off your list. Okay, as stated, this is a state mandated report. Luckily for us, we don't conduct a whole lot of traffic stops. We're school-based, but the state still requires it. And so we conducted a total of 288 traffic stops. And so how we break it down is whether they were in a city street, U.S. highway, county road, state highway, or private roadway. And then it also asked if we knew the race or ethnicity prior to stop, and we knew none of those. And so then you can see the breakdown of race and ethnicity. It also, remarkably, out of 288 traffic stops, we had 144 female and 144 males. And so when you look at the violation, it's a violation of law. Then you look at the percentage of those, how many were pre-existing knowledge, moving traffic violations, and non-moving violations. And was a search conducted? We only conducted 10 searches total. And then was consent given? One, and then the other were probable cause, which were probably due to our canine alerts. And then it was contraband discovered. Out of the 7 out of the 10 stops it was. And it'll tell you what the contraband was, and ours are typically drugs. All 7 that were located were drugs. And it was a verbal warning given, a written warning given, a citation, arrest, and so it'll break it down again by race and ethnicity. And so when we look at all of it together, BISD PD traffic stop data 2025 when it comes to the arrests. And then was force used? No. On all 288 stops there was never any force used. And that breaks down our racial profiling analysis. And then it goes by how the traffic stops. So we have to break ours down. So we break it down by the county as how the census shows their racial data. We break it down by the city and by our ISD. And so when you look at the different ways that we break it down by all 3 jurisdictions that we deal in. It shows that out of the 128 traffic stops, they were white, so 44.44%. And so when you look at Bastrop County, 45.75%. When you look at the city of Bastrop, 57.26 are white. And when you look at the BISD district boundary, 44.46 are white. And so we're right on the mark as far as all the racial profiling as far as the across the board. And that's it. If I'm here to answer any questions, if not.
I have a question mostly because it came up in my professional life. As an officer, how do they verify someone's race?
We ask.
It's not verification by ID or just either looking or by asking.
Right. And so the ID a lot of times will say what it is, but again, ours is different. So there's only so many races, and then you have ethnicity. And so we get down to, when you go back to the data, it's either you're white, you're black, or you're non-Hispanic. And so then you get into the other as far as when we'll come across somebody from Middle East, what do you put down? How do you rank that? And so we just have to keep up with it and supply it to the state.
What, on the traffic stops, what are they, mostly speeding, use of the cell phone? What are
Most of
the
ours are school zone violations, that they'll work the school zones. And then while they're in the school zone, because most of our traffic stops are done by canine officers, everybody else is in the buildings. And so most of our stops are canines, and so while they're there, if they need to utilize the canine to search the car, then they'll utilize the canine. In a positive alert, the dog will alert and gives us probable cause to search the car.
So you're stopping them in the school, the school?
Most of the time in a school zone, but there are
And with
times
the-
that we'll stop them when we're just out and about.
And
Right.
then when you stop, the officer who does stop them within the bounds, they have the canine?
A couple of them do. It's not always, and so sometimes our officers go in different places. We had one that stopped somebody the other day, and they said, we didn't know that an ISD officer could stop us. And on a road, we thought you could only, we're police officers, and so we swore the same oath as everybody else did, so, yeah, surprise, yeah.
Here's your ticket.
So-
Thanks for that one.
That's right.
Yeah, so don't pass them on the highway.
Yeah, don't pass it. Yeah, don't do that.
Thank you.
All right, yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Chief. All right, moving along to our intruder detection audit report, Cedar Creek Middle School. Ethan Schindler, our Director of Safety and Security.
Thank you, Dr. Lee, members of the board. Ethan Schindler, your new Director of Safety and Security here in the district. I'm about 6 weeks old into that position. I'm required to report to you anytime we have a failed intruder detection audit, and that's what I'm here for this evening. I'll tell you some details of the event. I'll tell you how we responded to it, and then I'll answer any questions that you might have. The details are on January 20th, Cedar Creek Middle School, we had an investigator, TEA investigator, arrive on that campus and approached the building. And so that area where she came in from did not have a gate that kept her out, a locked gate. So that's one of the features of this. She walked to the backside of a building and came up to a closed door. It was closed, but it was not secured. So she was able to open that door and she entered that building. Once she entered that building, there were adults in that hallway, and she was able to walk right on by them. They didn't challenge her or question her or ask her to go to the office or anything like that. So that was really what gave us the failed audit. She got in the building, and she wasn't challenged when she got in the building. On top of that, she also, when she was doing her investigation, she also identified that there was a door sweep log that was not entered for the week of December the 8th. And so we got an additional mark on that. So what we did to respond to that event, we did 5 things to respond to it. The first thing was we immediately secured that door within minutes of knowing of the issue. We secured it and took care of it. It was just a locking mechanism that it didn't close, and that happens with our doors sometimes. So we took care of it. The second thing was that principal immediately the next day had an all-staff meeting and addressed the staff about the rules and the policies, not only on that campus, but in our district, about there should be no one walking on our campuses that aren't questioned, checked for identification, make sure they have a badge or a visitor badge or something like that, that they're supposed to be on campus. And if they are not, then they're escorted to the main office to get checked in. So that meeting was conducted on that campus. Beyond that, Chief Bunch also emailed all of our police officers about the door sweep logs, making sure that they know that they should be being conducted and that they're also supposed to be documented and recorded inside of Sentinel. All of those officers acknowledged that policy. On top of that, to go above and beyond, we also started having our safety and security specialists start looking in Sentinel every single Friday and basically doing an audit of all those door sweep logs. If there isn't one that's entered in there, then he'll contact whoever the responsible party is to make sure that that's in fact done and uploaded. And beyond that, we kind of started our own internal intruder detection audit process in which we go around to our own campuses and try to break into them, checking doors, all that kind of stuff to get ahead of, that's the time when we want to find out that problem, not by any kind of bad actor or anything like that. So in summary, the system is working. This is how it should happen. We want to know these things. This was failed execution, not a bad system. And we have passed 8 of these intruder detection audits this school year. We still have some that are, we don't know when they're going to happen, but they are due to happen this school year. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Hey, Ethan, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So, quick question, and this may not be for you, actually. So you mentioned all the wonderful things that you did to possibly eliminate this happening again, but what about getting by those adults? So what are we doing to help adults realize that they're getting by you?
Just so make sure I understand your question. So when you're talking when the investigator walked by some adults, yeah. So one of those things that we did was basically that all-staff meeting where it was like, hey, this is the policy. Nobody walks by you in a hallway without a badge, without being identified, and without being challenged at all. So part of it's just emphasizing the policy, which, I can't answer for why those folks didn't. I do know the investigator is a very unassuming lady, so probably didn't look very dangerous or anything like that, but that shouldn't matter. So I think a large part of it is training, education, and re-emphasis when someone messes up that we hold people accountable. Any other questions?
Any other questions? And I did encourage Dr. Lee, when she meets with the principals and possibly during evaluation, that this is the number one goal of this school board, is safety and security. And it should be part of that principal's evaluation and meeting, and it has to be taken very seriously. And I like what you said about education, because I go mentoring. If you don't have a name tag on through the Raptor system or a badge, you got to be, everybody got to be watching. And so, because these folks that are trying to cause harm, they're trying to find ways to get in. They're going to be very creative. So thank you for your report.
Yeah, Ethan, I want to add real quick too. I also mentor, and I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter who I am or what badge I have on, they still check me in the same, scan my ID, and I really like that as a ex-educator, but also a board member, so.
Yeah, I'm so cautious of it. When I leave, I make sure the door's shut.
What y'all are touching on is exactly what we hope for, is that culture of safety and security. It's pervasive across every single thing that we do in our schools. Of course, we're educators, we take care of these kids, but ultimately, none of that can happen without being safe and secure. So that's a big part of what we're focusing on.
Yeah. And with that, I'd like to give a shout out to Chief and the police department on the walkout the other day, with even jumping in the community, trying to make sure the kids are safe. I know we try to manage that. Y'all did the best you could, and we really appreciate, especially the city of Bastrop, as well as the county too. We had kids out in the county as well, and so hopefully we'll definitely work with the state and others to prevent that from happening in the future. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving along to our consent agenda. Would any board member like to pull any of the consent agenda items for discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, your left. Motion carries. Moving along to our action items, consider approval of low attendance waiver for January 27th, 2026. Presenters Chris Taywater, District's PEMS and Data Quality. Welcome, Mr. Taywater.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Lee. The reason I come to you tonight is anytime that we submit a waiver to the district, it requires action and board approval. And staff development waiver, classroom exception waiver, low attendance waiver, it doesn't matter. You guys require approval for us to be able to submit it to TEA. It is not an automatic approval, but with the justification of inclement weather and the National Weather Service having an extreme cold weather warning that day, we feel very confident that we can get this waiver passed. And what that does is that allows that day to be excluded from calculations for school funding. So instead of eating low attendance, which was 80%, they exclude that day from calculations, and it doesn't impact us negatively. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Taywater? If not, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I move to approve the filing of the low attendance waiver for January 27, 2026 to TEA as per the Student Attendance Accounting Handbook as presented.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Taywater. All right, now we will move to item B. We'll consider consideration and possible action regarding the designation of the daily period of prayer and reading of religious text as provided by the Texas Education Code Section 25.0823. Jennifer Eberly, our Chief Academic Officer, is our presenter this evening.
Okay, good evening again. Senate Bill 11 was passed in the 89th legislative session for the purpose of allowing districts to adopt a policy requiring every campus to allow students and staff to participate in a daily period of prayer and reading of religious text. Every school board in the state must hold a record vote by March 1st, 2026. So I want to bring up a couple of key points for understanding of the requirements of the bill outlined in the Education Code 25.0823A-1. No student or employee can be required to participate. Parents have to consent to a student's participation in writing, noting the student is willingly choosing to do so, has no objection to participation, and most notably waives Establishments Clause and other federal and state law claims. Employees have to furnish the same consent and waiver to participate. School districts adopting a policy have to ensure that only those who have provided written consent are allowed to participate. Districts also have to ensure that no prayer or religious text reading is done in the physical presence or audible range of a non-participant. The daily period must occur once per day, but may not be during instructional time. The daily period must not advance a particular religion or inhibit a particular religion and must not be coercive. Students and staff who have consent to participate may pray in the manner of their choosing or read the religious text of their choosing. So in addition to complying with federal and state law, Bastrop ISD respects and honors the rich religious heritage of our nation and community, which is reflected in the policies the district has adopted to protect the religious freedom of its students and staff. For example, policy EMI Local, which permits the academic study of religious symbols, text, and elements intrinsic to a particular field of study. Policy FNA Local, which protects the rights of students to engage in voluntary expression of religious viewpoints at school events at which a student is permitted to speak, protects the rights of students to express religious beliefs in written and oral classroom assignments, and allows students to organize prayer groups, religious clubs, and gatherings such as See You at the Pole. Policy FFH Local, which protects students from discrimination or harassment on the basis of religion in connection with school activities. And policy DIA Local, which prohibits discrimination, retaliation, or harassment against employees on the basis of religion. So in the light of existing and well-established protections for students and staff provided by federal law, state law, and board policy, it is the recommendation of the administration that the board decline to adopt a resolution creating a policy described by Senate Bill 11 under Texas Education Code 25.0823.
Any questions for Ms. Eberly?
I've got one. The bill does not specify a religion, so it does not just say Christianity. It is regardless the Jews, Muslim, whatever faith, whatever religion.
They are allowed to choose the religious text of their reading and pray in the manner of their choosing.
Okay.
Yep.
And right now, from my understanding, there's nothing set now that would preclude students from gathering other than during instructional time.
We have the policy that was stated where they can have gatherings, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, See You at the Pole. They can do yes. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Ms. Eberly? All right, this time I move to accept the recommendation of the administration to decline to adopt the resolution created a policy described by Senate Bill 11 under Texas Education Code 25.0823 as presented.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, raise your left. All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Eberly. All right, moving on to item 6 is information items. It's Board of Trustee calendar of events, enrollment, and then CH local single budget purposes over $50,000 or more are all for information only. Are there any objections to adjourning this meeting? If there are none, meeting adjourned. Thank y'all for being here.